Today we're replacing a 1991 Delta Scout Guard shower cartridge. Let's take a look.
What you'll need to put inside, it is produced by DANCO, number 080964. It's for the Delta Scout Guard. That's the actual cartridge that's going to go inside your unit. I did have this little repair kit, but my plastic was really brittle and snapped when I was cleaning it, so I'm just going to replace the whole piece here. This is only like $26, so it's not a huge investment. It does come with the replacement rings in here, and I would recommend that you buy a kit so that you can replace this larger piece that actually goes on the metal piece here. But I'm going to take that piece off there, and then we will insert this and get started.
You will also need a couple Allen wrenches, a 3/32 and an 1/8 inch Allen wrench. I found that the screw in the center of mine was missing, and I was able to pull it off simply by rotating the handle to the left and pressing down on the red button and pulling it out. You might have a different setup. Yours might be in there, and you might want to try the 1/8 inch one. There's another screw inside that I'll show you that you'll need the 3/32 Allen wrench. After 30 years of use, we're going to replace the whole cartridge.
Pull it off, and look at how corroded that is. We're going to be working on that. I'm going to make a decision if it is even worth repairing. You know, maybe just give it a clean up and see what happens. If I'm not able to do that, I will be replacing the whole thing.
This handle with the red button is unique to the Delta 1991 Scout Guard. And this red button actually catches onto a portion of the cartridge that has a little adjuster level with a screw that's tightened by or loosened by an Allen wrench. So the shape of this handle will fit over the shower cartridge stem, and there's also that little lever inside that we're looking at where there's a little red button inside that helps us catch on to the Scout Guard component of the system. You're going to take also an old toothbrush and some vinegar, preferably the vinegar that has a higher acidity. I believe it's called a cleaning vinegar, but that's going to get rid of a lot of this corrosion that's built up over the decades of usage.
So to remove this, all I'm doing is taking, probably pliers would be best, but yeah, see, I just pull that and it's coming right out. And if you look at all that corrosion, got some.
As you can see, there's a lot of scale built up after 30 years of use. I'm going to replace the whole thing. If yours is a newer brand of cartridge, you could often just replace the gaskets and springs. I've scrubbed this with a toothbrush and some vinegar, but the scales are still pretty heavy in there, so I'm just taking a screwdriver and scraping it. As you can see, these are the rubber gaskets that are going to come out. There's also a little spring inside of there. Pay attention to which direction the spring faces when you pull it out. There is a tapered edge, and there it is. I got one of them out already. As you can see, there's a thicker edge on the spring and a thinner edge, and it does seat right inside there. I'm going to remove both of the little rubber gaskets and springs and finish cleaning up the scales. As you can see, there's significant wear to the cartridge, and I even cracked part of it while removing it and scraping some scales off. So yeah, $26 is not a bad deal. These are the cartridges that are replacing it. This is from DANCO company. It is number 80964 for the Delta Scout Guard. If you have a newer cartridge, you can get away with using that little repair kit that I just showed you. I also bought a larger box full of pieces such as extra screws and extra rings that go on some of the other knobs. I have a few faucets that I need to also add some rings to. So the kit that I bought was about $15, and it was just kind of a generic screw with the Allen wrench inserting piece to it. So I scraped up as much scale as I could off this piece, and I'm also inspecting on the inside for any water damage, and everything looks nice and dry in there. All the pipes seem good. Right now, I'm using that same screwdriver, and I'm putting the spring as well as the rubber gasket on the end here. The spring is going to go in first, and then the rubber gasket behind that, and it's easier if you just seat it right on a circular Phillips screwdriver, and I just gently tapping that in there, and I'm going to need 2 hands to get that in there the rest of the way. And here I go again. I'm doing the other one, and again I've checked for scales and cleaned it up before I'm doing this to get a really nice tight seal when we put the rest of our cartridge on. So I bought this kit because I needed one of these rubber rings. The one that I had was pretty well worn, and that goes in this little groove here in the back. So I went ahead and I also replaced this ring here, but before I did that, I've removed a lot of the scale and debris that is in here. I've taken some vinegar and let it soak for a while. I also took PB Blaster beforehand, and I've taken both a metal scrubby and kind of got a lot of the gook out of here. Let me show you what this package looks like. This is where I found those big rubber rings, and I also have other Delta faucets, so this will come in handy for those, and you know, this will be helpful for both my sinks and showers. So it was only about $15, so I think it's a good investment. I also have some tools in there to help me repair it. This is my cartridge. I'm going to be putting that in there right now. Take note on this cartridge, there is a groove here at the top, and that is going to fit right into this little section inside your tube, and you're going to line that up when you slide it in. And as you notice, there's also a rubber gasket that goes in the cartridge. If it's not already on, you're going to want to make sure you have that. That's why it's important to save that other piece and look at it. And it just slides right in there. I've got it all nice and cleaned up. And now I'm also taking the Allen wrench. This is the Guard temp adjuster. And depending on which way you turn it will result in how hot or cold your shower is. This is how you regulate that, and which way it goes, I'm not really sure, but I'm just returning it to a setting that I knew that it worked in. And now I have this other piece that slides on, and it's kind of self-explanatory. The edge without the ring goes on first, and then there's this little lip that catches onto that rubber gasket that we replaced over the old faucet. That's going to go on, and then we have that final piece that really secures everything. So yes, I had to put everything down. There we go, that slips in there, and as you can see, that rubber ring kind of catches there. And then I will put this round thing on. There we go, that goes on the cartridge. Well, that worked. I just kind of popped it on with my hand, and yes, definitely put this little metal thing in here along with the escutcheon plate. It makes it a lot easier. We're going to take this ring and put it over this cartridge, and we're going to push it all the way back. Tighten it up, snug it up. That's a two-handed job on her. So we've got our metal ring on the escutcheon plate, and now I'm just tightening up these screws. There are little pieces, little holes in the brass part that these run through. That can be very tricky. We're fortunate to have an access panel in the back, and I actually just have my son hold it while I tightened it. And our next piece that goes on is this ring. We're only going to hand tighten this. We're going to make sure everything is going to slide up in there. And press that on. It's going to tighten everything. I wonder if maybe, let me see if I take this ring off, what happens. Did it just stop at the ring, or what? What's going on? No, it just kind of is seating itself. Maybe not. Let's try. I'm going to try, because after you get this plate on and the escutcheon thing and this metal thing, you're going to slide one of those rubber gaskets on that were in the kit. They don't have them in this kit, unfortunately. I had to buy the $15 kit to get that, and then we're going to just tighten this up. There we go, nice and tight. Just hand tightening. Hand tighten that thing. That's good. Got a nice seal in there, brand new rings. These are all tightened up. So later I'll take some caulk and seal up around the edges here. Now we're going to put our handle on. A lot of corrosion and stuff. I tried to find a new handle like this. Impossible to find
what I'm going to do is we are going to line all these things up, and that handle, see how there's you can see the metal bar here. It's kind of self-explanatory. You're going to line that up like that and get it in there.
The very last step before putting your handle on is adjusting your scallon guard. And I just referenced my old scallon guard and looked at the screw and how it was positioned, as we really liked how it was set. And I'm actually testing out the Allen wrench that was included in that $15 kit that had that extra rubber gasket that went over the handle, the rear part of the handle there. And I'm just adjusting it to the depth that I want. And you are going to look at your handle, and you will see where that red button will catch on that screw, and you will see how all the slots kind of catch on in there. So just take some time when you pull your handle off, look in there, look at how it catches in there. It's pretty easy to figure out. The center screw to my cartridge here was missing, so there was an extra one in the kit. I just added it in here, and I'm twisting it up. I'm using, I believe, the 1/8 inch Allen wrench. It might have been actually the 12/32 one that I had on the inside. Just play around with the Allen wrenches, you'll figure out the right one. Everything is nice and tight and snug, and no more drips. I can't tell you how much water I have wasted by not repairing this, and I should have done it much sooner. It was an easy fix, and I'm so glad I took the time to do it. I'm so glad you joined me in watching how to do this. I've learned something, you've learned something, and now we can all save water, and that is just such a cool thing. And I'm just showing you the back of my shower. These were the little holes that the escutcheon plate seats on, and yeah, this house was built in 1918, and it has a concrete interior, and a lot of people are like, don't you mean plaster? I'm like, no, I mean concrete. And there was a method of fireproofing, but I always have a lot of fun looking around in my old house and seeing how things are. Some things actually have really stood the test of time, but a lot of the pipes do need repair and updating, and learning how to do things like this really helps improve not only the value of your home, but anytime you stop water from dripping or leaking, you are just stopping mold, mildew, or damage to your home. So let's learn how to do it. You can do it. I know you can. Take care, everybody.